Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. I hope you're well. October 7, October 7, October 7. Have you ever heard Piers Morgan wail about something else more than October 7? Maybe not. At least not for the whole past year. But maybe from now on, he will think twice before mentioning October 7 because yesterday only, he and his respected guest were shown their places by none other than brother Mohammed Hijab. On October 8, Piers Morgan called the well-known philosopher Mohammed Hijab and the controversial U.S. lawyer Alan Dershowitz on his show to debate the current status of the Middle East. Morgan, as usual, started his show by stating that everything that we are seeing in front of our eyes is a result of the unprovoked attack on October 7 by Hamas.
Israel's war on Hamas, provoked by the atrocities of October the 7th, have led to the deaths of tens of thousands of innocent Palestinians. Prime Minister Netanyahu promised total victory and the complete destruction of Hamas. But 1 year on, Hamas is still firing rockets at Tel Aviv. 1 year on, 97 hostages remain in Hamas captivity.
This statement of Piers Morgan itself shows how biased he is and how he wants everyone to know that before October 7, everything was just perfect. He goes on and asks Alan about how Israel will be dealing with Iran, to which he replies that Iran is a head of octopus and thus Israel should deal with it accordingly, as this is the only solution for peace in the Middle East.
I see Iran as the head of the octopus sending out its tentacles any more than ISIS should have been allowed to have a victory going out of 9/11. So I think the answer is yes, a military defeat for Iran and its surrogates.
Now, after this fake show of concern for peace was over by Alan, Hijab inquired him how he could possibly be concerned about innocent lives when he is not at all bothered about the 3,000 innocent Palestinians who were taken as captives of war without charge and are being tortured brutally almost every day. He questioned that what kind of proportionality is that the whole of the West is showing when being concerned about the lives of 100 hostages, but not at all bothered about the 3,000 innocent captives taken by Israel from Gaza and the West Bank.
Anything that Hamas has done, we have condemned in the first instance. But we're not seeing the same level of coverage with Hamas as we are seeing with these people that are shoving rods off people's ass and raping people on videographic evidence. And you have 3,000 people, you talk about the hostages, you've got 3,000 people in essentially captivity, according to Human Rights Watch and B'Tselem, who are prisoners of war of Israel, and we're spending a fraction of the time speaking about them as compared to speaking about the hostages. Look, if you want us to take you seriously, if you want us to take this coverage seriously, if you want us to take Western media seriously, then let's, for God's sake, talk about proportionality as your favorite word. We're talking about 30,000 people detained in prisons on the one hand, and 100 people who are hostages.
To this, obviously, Alan, as well as Piers, had no clear answer. What was more interesting and very intelligent of Mohammed Hijab was to ask Piers Morgan about whether Iran has the right to defend itself when Israel was the one who had executed many officials of Iran and had attacked the Iranian embassy in Syria, which had led to deaths of the top officials of Iran, along with some innocent civilians. But of course, because Piers Morgan is completely biased, he replied that Iran wanted the eradication of Israel for so long. Therefore, this question is not void.
Do you support Iran?
Okay, well, let me answer your question. Iran was attacked on April the 1st, right? It was attacked, the embassy of Iran was attacked in Syria by Israel. After that, on the first occasion, they then sent missiles and drones, correct? Now, my question to you is, does Iran have a right to defend itself? And if so, what is a proportionate response? Because you see, I've been having a moral quandary about the issue, Piers Morgan. What's a proportionate response for Iran?
I'll tell you what I think about Iran. I think Iran is an unbelievably nefarious place which has been fueling Hamas, the Houthis, Hezbollah for many years with a joint
Does it have a right to defend itself?
joint ideology that they want to eradicate Israel in any way they can.
Okay. Does it have
so
a right to
I
defend
think
itself?
Iran is one of the most despicable
Does it have a right to
regimes
defend itself?
in the world.
Alan here thought of a way to defend Israel's right to attack Iran by stating that Israel never had attacked Iran's embassy because, in reality, it was not one. Rather, it was a military base. His nonsensical reasoning was again put to silence by the witty answer of Hijab.
Let me respond.
It's been
it was
pretty
not
easy.
an embassy. It was an ancillary building being used as a military center to plan attacks against Israel.
Number two, you speak about this being a base. As I say now, if you look at Collins' dictionary right now, there's two aspects of what is a military base, vernacularly speaking. Number one is that there has to be weapons in that place, and number two, that there has to be training of soldiers. This is usually understood.
Finally, when Allen saw that none of his statements or arguments were making even a little bit of sense, then he went ahead to tell some more absurd lies, which again were attacked by Hijab. According to Allen, Gaza would have been the most beautiful piece of land on earth had it still been under the direct control of the IOF as it was before 2005. But Hamas made Gaza the way it is now. He also had the guts to say that Gaza is still not an occupied territory and is free. It is only because of the activities of Hamas that poor Israel must defend its borders. Hijab contradicted Allen's remarks that if he claims Gaza to be a free territory, that does not mean that it actually is, because according to the UN, US, and even the UK, Gaza is an occupied territory of Israel.
Gaza could have become
Might have been a
the
prepubescent
most
child
beautiful
living in that
spot
massage.
on the Mediterranean, Singapore on the Mediterranean. Then Hamas engaged in a military coup in which they murdered members of the Palestinian Authority, took over Gaza, and started sending rockets into Israel. It was only then that Israel began to control the borders and make sure that tunnels couldn't be built. They failed in that respect, that weapons couldn't be brought in. Gaza was not an occupied territory. It was a free territory between 2005 and the time that Hamas took over. And so
is it occupied now or not? Is it occupied now? According to you, is it occupied now or not?
Creating a territory
is Gaza an occupied
in which
territory right now, or is it
Hamas
not?
imprisoned.
He's not answering my question.
It's not an occupied territory.
It's not. Okay.
And if you think that you cannot take any more nonsense, here are some more bizarre statements coming straight from Allen when he stated that he is in support of a two-state solution, but this two-state solution must be such that there should be a military occupation of Israel on Palestine, which of course was not criticized by Piers Morgan. Mohammed Hijab, however, exposed the true faces of Allen as well as Piers for everyone to see about what fate they actually want for Palestine.
I
Allen's
am
agreed on that.
opposed to Israel's policies on the West Bank. I think Israel should continue a military occupation of the West Bank, just like I thought it should have continued a military occupation
Do you
of
agree with
Gaza. But I'm opposed and have been opposed to civilian settlements
You
since
heard what he said, right?
1967. And I'd like to see them ended in a process that leads to a two-state solution.
Well, he said all Israel wants to do is live in peace. And I think what Israel wants to do is have pieces of other people's land. And as he's just agreed a second ago, and you didn't even challenge him on it, which I find quite incredulous actually, is that he said, I think that the West Bank should be military occupying Israel should be military occupying the West
Absolutely.
Bank. He says that.
Absolutely.
Now, occupation.
Of course, as long as there's
Why can't I
belligerency,
speak?
there should be an occupation
Why are you
militarily.
interrupting me?
Yeah.
I've let you speak for a very long time. I've let you speak for a very long time. Now you're interrupting me. I didn't
We'll
give you
let
permission
people
to
judge
interrupt
that.
me. I didn't give you permission to interrupt me in this manner. What I'm saying to you is, according to international law, there cannot be occupation of one sovereign nation over another. It doesn't seem like you care about international law.
Usually, a debate means having two or more people of different opinions challenge each other's views, while the host's role is to act as a mediator between them so that each person can express their respective ideologies. But in this debate, we saw that there was no mediator, and Mohammed Hijab was actually debating two people who had similar views. But this also didn't seem to bother Hijab, much as Hijab single-handedly dominated both of them. He was able to destroy all the lies put forward by Alan Dershowitz, and he was also able to attack the narrative of Piers Morgan, which is that Israel is merely defending itself in history, only started on October 7th. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless brother Mohammed Hijab for defending the Palestinians so well and exposing the true colors of the Western media. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give justice to our brothers and sisters in Palestine. Ameen.